Hello. Welcome to the Bold Team, our Tuesday hangout. And first, before we get into it, I want to introduce the panel. So let's do that real quick. Let's start with, Carol's on there first. So, Carol, can you come on out?
I sure can. My name is Carol Makowski, and I'm in upstate New York at the other end of the house from Ellie. And I am so pleased to be on this bold team. Great bunch of people. And I'm just wolfing down the last of my Chinese food dinner, so excuse me. um, and Michelle always does a win bang hangout, so let's see what she's got in store for us today.
Well, I'm sorry to pick on you when you're eating, Carol. Catherine, would you like to come out?
Sure. Hi, I'm Catherine, and I'm from California, and I'm also a woman entrepreneur, and I've been on this bold team for about almost a year and a half, and it's a great team, and I love them all, and we're also so supportive of each other, so I can't wait to hear what Michelle has to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Ellie?
Hi, Ellie Walsh. I did just finish eating my dinner, too. I'm at the other end of the house from Carol. It was an interesting day today, and we were like, I gotta eat. We were whopping down food. I mean, isn't that cool? All right, we can connect from all areas of the world. Today we don't have our other person on. She'll be on later on tonight on our regular hangout, on our team meeting. But from Canada, we get people from all the states, and we get them from all parts of the world. It's different times for all of us, and look what technology does for us. Look what team does for us. All right, this is a great team. So I am looking forward to Michelle's topic, and she always runs a great hangout. So thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, no pressure. Jamie, would you like to come out?
No pressure. Jamie Donnelly, Internet Mogul, New Jersey. And yes, all the pressure, because Michelle is my number one hangout leader that I love to watch. So, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, so much for pressure. I am Michelle Eves, and I aspire to be the internet mogul that Jamie is. I live in Mississippi, so forgive my cheerleader look here, but it's hot, and we've been without air for 24 hours, so bear with me. Well, I'm doing this webinar on this book called The Gifts of Imperfection from Dr. Brene Brown. And I actually, literally just got to the last chapter. So I do transcription from home during the day, and I've been extremely busy. So that's my excuse. I'm going to read most of it, so please forgive me again. I don't know how good this is going to be, but I hope it's good. So anyway, so Dr. Brene Brown, she is a researcher on shame and vulnerability. And people, they don't realize when they ask her to speak what she actually researches. So, but she usually, what she comes up with is really good. And so she came up with 10 guideposts on how to live a wholehearted life. And, and these can easily apply to cultivating a business as well as our personal lives. So she conducted a research study with hundreds, if not thousands, of people on vulnerability and shame, and she created these guideposts based on her study. So that's where this all comes from. So let's get down to it. Number one is cultivating authenticity, letting go of what people think. Now, basically, authenticity is a collection of choices that we make every day, and it's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our real selves, our real true selves, be seen. So there are people who always try and be authentic. There's people who never try and be authentic. And then there's some people who are authentic on some days, depending on how the day goes, and I think most of us fall into that category. But authenticity is something that no matter what, being real, we value that. And most of us are drawn to warm, down-to-earth, honest people, and we aspire to be like that in our own lives. The problem is that we know choosing to be authentic in a culture that dictates everything from how much we weigh to what our houses should look like is a huge undertaking. So she defined authenticity as the daily practice of letting go of who we think we are supposed to be and embracing who we are. Now, E. E. Cummings wrote, "To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best day and night to make you everybody but yourself means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight. So never stop fighting." Now, when we choose to be our true selves, others around us will struggle. They may be fearful and unsure about the changes that they're seeing in you. They may worry about how our authenticity will affect them and our relationships with them. Some will find inspiration, and others may perceive that we're changing too much and even maybe abandoning them or holding up a very uncomfortable mirror. But, we have to think of it this way. It's not your authenticity, it's not your true self that they are fearful of, that they're worrying about or they're struggling with. It's your audacity to be authentic. Really. And so being authentic really in the end is the best gift that we can give the people we love. So what can you do right now? So try to make authenticity your number one goal. When you go into a situation when you're feeling vulnerable, if authenticity is your goal and you keep it real, then you'll never regret it. And your customers and your teammates will respect the heck out of you for it. Okay? So number 2, cultivating self-compassion, letting go of perfectionism. So first, we have to define perfectionism, and it's not what you think. So perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. It is not about healthy achievement and growth. It is the belief that if we are perfect, if we live perfect, act perfect, look perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of judgment, blame, shame. It's basically a shield. Perfectionism is not self-improvement. It is, at its core, about trying to earn approval and acceptance. Basically, I am accomplished however well I can accomplish it. Period. I am what I accomplish. So perfectionism is other-focused. What will they think? Research shows that perfectionism hampers success. In fact, it's the path to depression, anxiety, addiction, and life paralysis. And what is life paralysis? Well, that is all the opportunities that you miss in life because you're too afraid to put anything out into the world that's imperfect. So we should practice self-compassion. Christopher K. Germer says a moment of self-compassion can change your entire day. A string of such moments can change the course of your life. So self-compassion has 3 elements: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Self-kindness is being warm and understanding towards ourselves when we suffer, when we fail, or when we feel inadequate, rather than flagellating ourselves with criticism. Common humanity recognizes that suffering and feelings of personal inadequacy are part of a shared human experience, something that we all go through, rather than something that happens to me only. So mindfulness is taking a balanced approach to negative emotions so that the feelings are neither suppressed nor exaggerated. Mindfulness requires that we not over-identify with thoughts and feelings so that we're caught up and swept away by negativity. So what can you do? Well, there's a line from a Leonard Cohen song, Anthem, and it's a reminder for me when I get into a place where I'm trying to control everything and make it perfect. And that line is, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So many of us run around spackling all the cracks that we can see and try and make everything look just right. But remember that our imperfections are not inadequacies. They're reminders that we are not in this alone. We're in this together. Number 3, cultivating a resilient spirit, letting go of numbing and powerlessness. Resilience is the ability to overcome adversity. So what makes up resilience? There are 5 most common factors. So they are, number 1, they are resourceful and have good problem-solving skills. Number 2, they are most likely to seek help. Number 3, they hold the belief that they can do something that helps them to manage their feelings and cope. Number 4, they have social support available to them. And number 5, they are connected with others such as family or friends. So what she found most often in those that she studied was spirituality. And she's not talking about religion or theology, but a shared and deeply belief that, so based on her interviews, this is how she defines spirituality. Spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably, connected, I can't say that word, connected to each other by a power greater than ourselves, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. So practicing spirituality brings a sense of perspective, meaning, and purpose to our lives. So from this foundation of spirituality, there are 3 significant patterns that emerged as being essential to resilience. Cultivating hope, practicing critical awareness, and letting go of numbing and taking the edge off vulnerability, discomfort, and pain. So on hopeless and powerlessness, hope is not an emotion. It is a way of thinking. It's a cognitive pattern. Emotions just play a supporting role. So in simple terms, hope happens when we have the ability to set realistic goals. I know where I want to go. We are able to figure out how to achieve those goals, including the ability to stay flexible and develop alternative routes. So basically, I know how to get there, I'm persistent, and I can tolerate disappointment, and I can try again. And then we believe in ourselves, which is basically, I can do this. Basically, hope is a combination of setting goals, having the tenacity and perseverance to pursue them, and believing in our own abilities. So what you can do. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote, "People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out. But when the darkness sets in, their beauty is only revealed from the light within." So let your light shine. You know, your light will attract others to you, hence attraction marketing. You know, your light will attract customers and new team members, so let it shine. Number 4, cultivating gratitude and joy, letting go of scarcity and fear of the dark. Now, being grateful and joyful doesn't mean you're happy all the time. You know, happiness is tied to circumstances. Joy is tied to gratitude and spirit. So happiness is attached to external situations and events. Joy is tethered to our hearts. Joy was described by the ancient Greeks as found only in God and comes with virtue and wisdom. So it's not a beginner's virtue. It comes with culmination. They say the opposite is not sadness. The opposite of joy is fear. So let that sink in. So Dr. Brene Brown, she wrote, joy is not constant. It comes to us in moments, often ordinary moments. Sometimes we miss out on the bursts of joy because we're too busy chasing down the extraordinary moments. Other times we're too afraid of the dark that we don't dare to let ourselves enjoy the light. A joyful life is not a floodlight of joy. That would eventually become unbearable. I believe a joyful life is made up of joyful moments, gracefully strung together by trust, gratitude, inspiration, and faith. So basically, joy is what happens when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are. So on scarcity, which is my favorite subject actually on this whole book, it's my favorite subject. You know, most of us wake up in the morning and we didn't get enough sleep, okay? And the first thing we think is, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to do what I need to do today, okay? And whether that's true or not, you know, it occurs to us automatically before we even question it or examine it completely. So we spend most of our hours of the day hearing our lives of, you know, hearing, explaining, complaining, and worrying about what we don't have enough of. You know, we don't have enough work. We don't have enough profits. We don't have enough money. We're not thin enough, rich enough, pretty enough, successful enough. And before we go to bed, before we sit up in bed, before our feet even hit the ground, we're already inadequate. We're already behind. We're already losing. We're already lacking something. And then by the time we go to bed at night, our minds race with the litany of things we didn't get done or that we didn't get that day. And the sleep is burdened by those thoughts, and we wake up and start the whole thing all over again. We live our lives in scarcity. So what can you do? Well, when we're flooded with fear and scarcity, which is very easy in this industry, try and call forward joy and sufficiency by acknowledging the fear and transforming it into gratitude, such as, I am fearful that I will never have the money or the life that I dream of. But, sorry, this Apple thing popped up, but I am grateful that I am able to pay my bills and feed my children every month. So take what you're fearful of, take your scarcity, and turn it into a gratitude, and that'll change your mentality. Number 5, cultivating intuition and trusting faith, letting go of the need for certainty. Intuition is not an independent reasoning process. In fact, psychologists believe that intuition is a rapid-fire, unconscious association process, like a mental puzzle. The brain makes an observation, scans its files, and matches the observation with existing memories, knowledge, and experiences. Once it puts it together, once it puts the series together, it creates a gut feeling, intuition. Sometimes our intuition or our gut tells us we don't have enough information. and we need to go on more fact-finding. But intuition is not a single way of knowing. It's our ability to hold space for uncertainty and our willingness to trust the many ways we've developed knowledge and insight, including instinct, experience, faith, and reason. Well, faith is the place of mystery, where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty. The theologian Richard Rohr said, "My scientist friends have come up with things like principles of uncertainty and dark holes. They're willing to live inside imagined hypotheses and theories, but many religious folk insist on answers that are always true. So we love closure, we love resolution and clarity, while we think that we are people of faith." But how strange that the very word faith has come to mean its exact opposite. So what is the opposite of faith? It's not doubt, but certainty. So what can you do? When I am uncertain about something and fear and anxiety break out, the not knowing the answer or the choice that I need to make, what I need to do is find a quiet space, whether it's in the bathroom, in the garage, it doesn't matter, wherever it's quiet, and just listen. You know the answer. You know it. You just have to be quiet enough and hear it. Number 6, cultivating creativity, letting go of comparison. So comparison is about conformity and competition. And when we compare ourselves to what we see, when we compare, we see who or what is best out of a specific collection of like things. We cannot compare our cozy little homes to the mansions on the other side of the city, but we do compare our cozy homes with other cozy homes on our street. So the comparison mandate becomes this crushing paradox of fit in and stand out. It doesn't cultivate self-acceptance, belonging, or authenticity. It's be like everybody else, but better. Comparison is the thief of happiness. So what can we do? Well, creativity is the expression of our originality. It helps us stay mindful that what we bring into the world is completely original and cannot be compared. So when you sit down and write your blog post, or write your social media post, or take a picture, or do a video, you are expressing your creative side, and that's where all your marketing comes from. So find your creative side. Number 7, cultivating play and rest. Letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. So Dr. Stuart Brown, in his own research, explains that play shapes our brain. It helps us foster empathy, helps us navigate complex social groups, and is at its core of creativity and innovation. So what is play? He has outlined 7 properties of play, but the first of which is purposeless. Basically, this means we play for the sake of play because it's fun. So in today's culture, our self-worth is tied to our net worth, and we base our worthiness on our level of productivity. So spending time doing something purposeless, it doesn't make sense. It's an anxiety attack waiting to happen for some of us. And so we've got to reshape our way of thinking about that. And we've got so much to do, and we think we have that little time to do it all in, but we don't make play a priority. And so, he argues that play is not an option. In fact, he writes the opposite of play is not work, it's depression. Respecting our biologically programmed need for play can transform our work. It can bring back excitement and newness to our job. So play helps us deal with difficulties. It provides a sense of expansiveness. It promotes mastery of our craft and is the essential part of the creative process. So most important, true play comes from our own inner needs and desires, and it's the only path to finding everlasting joy and satisfaction in our work. So in the long run, work does not work without play. Work does not work without play. And my teenagers' favorite time together is family night when we do board games, card games or whatever, and so we always try to do that on special occasions or holidays because they're teenagers, they're always so busy, but they make sure that we have that family time together, and we've always had it, and they absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And that's the only time I really get to play. But I get to laugh too. And so it's a great time. So what can you do? Well, you can say no to something today. And I'm saying this with a B. Buck the system. Take something off your list and just take a nap. I don't know. Number 8, cultivating calm and stillness. Letting go. I see Ellie's down there dying. Cultivating calm and stillness, letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle. In her research, the men and women she interviewed were not anxiety-free or anxiety-adverse. They were anxiety-aware. They were committed to a way of living where anxiety is reality, but it's not a lifestyle. And they do this by cultivating calm and stillness in their lives. So calm is creating perspective and mindfulness while managing emotional reactivity. We need to try to be slow to respond and quick to think. Do we have all the information we need to make a decision or form a response right now? We need to be mindful about the effect that calm has on an anxious person or situation. A panicked response promotes more panic. And so fear and anxiety are extremely contagious, but so is calm. And stillness, from meditation and prayer to regular periods of quiet reflection and alone time, men and women spoke about the necessity of quieting their bodies and minds as a way of feeling less anxious and overwhelmed. And I can definitely attest to that. I have been doing kooky meditation for the last 6 months now, and trust me, I was a completely different person before I did it. And it's just as simple as just sitting there and being quiet. And so Mark, my husband, was listening to a podcast, and this doctor was trying to explain what meditation is. And he came up with a simple way of explaining it, and so I'll share it with you. So let's say you have a glass of water, and you're holding the glass of water out. You can hold it, and you'll hold it for a while. And eventually your hand will start to cramp and your muscles will start to get tired and sore in your arm. So you put the glass down for a while and you stretch and, stretch out the muscle and give your hand a chance to rest. And then you can pick up that glass and hold it again for a while. It's the same thing with our minds. We take our stress, we take our anxiety, we take everything that's just swimming around in there, and we put it off to the side for a minute. And we give our minds and our bodies time to rest. And then we can pick it up and carry it for the rest of the day. That's what meditation does. I loved that. So stillness is not about focusing on nothing. It's about creating a clearing. It's an opening up an emotional clutter-free space and allowing ourselves to feel and think and dream and question. When we first start cultivating calm and stillness in our lives, it can be difficult, especially when we realize how stress and anxiety has defined so much of our daily lives. But as our practices become stronger, anxiety will lose its hold and we'll gain clarity about what we're doing, where we're going, and what holds true meaning for us. So what can we do? Well, experiment with different forms of still and quiet. We need to find something that works for us. You know, it can be sitting on your bed for 20 minutes. It can be sitting in your garden. It can be while you're taking a walk or taking a jog or working in your garden. Whatever you love to do that's quiet and peaceful, that can be your meditation time. It's that simple. So number 9, cultivating meaningful work, letting go of self-doubt and the supposed tos. We all have gifts and talents. When we cultivate those gifts and share them with the world, we create a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. Squandering our gifts brings distress to our lives. And as it turns out, it's not just sad if we don't use our gifts that we've been given. We pay for it with our emotional and physical well-being. When we don't use our talents to cultivate meaningful work, we struggle. We feel disappointed and weighed down by feelings of emptiness, frustration, resentment, shame, disappointment, fear, grief, everything. Using our gifts and talents to create meaningful work takes a tremendous amount of commitment because in many cases that meaningful work is not what pays the bills. Self-doubt and the supposed tos. Maybe everyone has special gifts but you. You know, this is what you're saying to yourself. Maybe everybody else has special gifts but not me. You know, maybe that's why I haven't found mine yet. Or, yeah, I do, but it's not really a gift because it's not really that important. You know, self-doubt undermines the process of finding our gift and sharing it with the world. It's letting our fear undermine our faith. So the supposed tos are the battle cries of fitting in, perfectionism, people-pleasing, and proving ourselves. So you're supposed to be a doctor when you grow up. Everyone's counting on it. Or you're supposed to hate your work. That's the definition of work. You know, if you're brave, you're supposed to quit your job and follow your bliss. Don't worry about money. To overcome self-doubt and the supposed tos, we have to start owning the messages. What makes us afraid? What's our supposed to list? Who says? Sometimes these messages are like toddlers. You know, if you ignore them, they get louder. It's usually best to just acknowledge them, messages, write them down, and own them. Owning them doesn't give it more power. It gives us more power. It gives us the opportunity to say, I get it. I see I'm afraid of this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So what can we do? We can make a list of the work that inspires you. You know, we can be practical. Don't be practical. Sorry. Don't be practical. Don't think about making a living. Think about something that you love. You don't have to quit your day job to cultivate meaningful work, and there's nothing that says that your work, your day job, isn't meaningful. Number 10, last one, cultivating laughter, song, and dance. Letting go of being cool and always in control. So throughout history, we've relied on laughter, song, and dance to express ourselves, to communicate our stories and emotions, to celebrate and mourn, and to even nurture community. Laughter, song, and dance create emotional and spiritual connection. They remind us the one thing that truly matters when we're searching for comfort or celebration or inspiration or healing. We are not alone. So have you ever gotten into your car and at that exact moment was a song playing on the radio that you really needed to hear that moment? Or have you ever tried listening to or watching a movie without the dramatic music? I mean, it kind of, even a horror movie without the music, it feels factual and, not emotional at all. It's just flat. And a good belly laugh, singing at the top of your lungs and dancing like no one's watching is good for the soul. But there are also exercises in vulnerability. The list of fear of being perceived as awkward, goofy, silly, spastic, uncool, out of control, etc. When we don't give ourselves permission to be free, we can't tolerate it from others. We put them down, we make fun of them, we ridicule their behavior, and we do this either intentionally or unconsciously. The Hopi Indians used to say, to watch us dance is to hear our hearts sing. So I want to hear your heart sing. So what can you do? Dare to be goofy. Dance for 5 minutes out of a day. Make a CD of songs to sing along with in the car. Watch that dumb YouTube video that makes you laugh every time. So that was number 10. I'm going to read the final paragraph in the book. I really liked it. So, in this world, choosing authenticity and worthiness is an absolute act of resistance. Choosing to live and love with our whole hearts is an act of defiance. You are going to confuse, piss off, and terrify a lot of people, including yourself. 1 minute you'll pray that transformation stops, and the next minute you'll pray that it never ends. You'll also wonder how you can feel so brave and so afraid at the same time. At least that's how I feel most of the time. Brave, afraid, and very alive. Well, that's what I got. I am going to open it up to the panel and see if anybody has anything. Anybody? Don't all jump in at once.
I have so much that I could say to this, but we have limited time, so let me limit my remarks. First of all, being authentic leading is audacious. I find that mind-blowing, and it's true. It's true. Can't argue with it. Secondly, the laughter, the idea of the laughter and the playfulness, not the laughter so much as the playfulness, play being purposeless. And I have to think of children. Children are laughing all the time. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of kids are happy, laughing, and playing. And yeah, I suppose it's purposeless. Right. And I don't know. I just have to think about that some more to put that in some kind of perspective. And maybe not. Maybe thinking about it diminishes it. So I don't know. But also the quiet, that really hit a chord with me. There was a time in my life several years ago when my first partner passed away, and my anxiety level was sky high for a little while, and I had to have something going on constantly to keep my mind occupied. The minute I walked in the house, the TV had to go on. The minute I got in the car, the radio had to go on. Always something going. If I had nothing to do, I'd get in the car and go someplace, figure out something to do, just to keep myself busy. And then, as time went on, and I began to adapt and look at life differently and learn new things, and started to meditate and what have you, quiet became very important to me. And as it turns out, it is for both Ellie and me. Quiet is extremely important. And we find that out that, wherever we go, we choose very carefully where we're going to go because we avoid places and people who are, fine. It's fun to go out and have fun and music and what have you. That's great. But to go to a restaurant and have a lot of noise going on, to go, I had to go into the city the other day for my step grandson's graduation, and I had such fear and trepidation about it because it's so active in the city, so much noise and carrying on, that I just didn't know if that was going to jangle my nerves or if I was going to be able to handle it all right. Turned out to be fine. And then we talked last night about meditation. Our lights went out. We lost our electricity, our power, for about 7.5 hours. And we just sat in, well, not darkness. We had, some lanterns going and headlamps. And we talked for a while. And we talked about meditation and how we've both kind of fallen away from it. And, it just boils down to the same damn old thing all the time. Habit, habit, habit. You fall into habits, you fall out of habits. You get into the habit of meditating, you stop for a day or two, you fall out of the habit. You get into the habit of journaling, and I find that a very positive thing in my life. And for whatever reason, maybe I'm tired, extremely tired one night, and I don't do it. And a couple of nights go by, and boom, then I'm out of the habit again. But yes, you brought home again the importance of meditation, that time that you set aside for yourself to pull it together, sort of, by just being quiet. So a very, very interesting talk. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And I'll shut up now.
Thank you, Carol. Yes, it's hard, especially I had a hard deadline this morning, and I had to get up and start typing, but I didn't. I made sure that I did my meditations first because that centers my day. And it sounds kooky, I know it does. I was that person on the other end for years, but just being quiet for 20 minutes is very important to me, I've found, and even through deadlines, I have to make sure I do it first, or I'll fall out of that habit. And she said that, Dr. Brene Brown, when she was writing this, she came across that play thing, and so she didn't understand how would adults play. So she Googled adult play. Never Google adult play. She found that out real quick. Okay, so Catherine, did you have something?
Yes. Everything was great points, but I like the one that you said, the last point where you said, dare to be goofy. It's very hard. I can be goofy around my kids and around people that know me, but when I get out to the public, I'm like kind of like in a shell. And I see lots of people when they have dancing or something, they can just go out in front of people and act like they are. But I find it very hard. I need to work on that a lot because I'd like to do that, just be able to do what I want and be out there and do those kind of things too. But that's a hard point. I think a lot of people are very self-conscious about what they look like to other people, even though they don't really care probably. But we feel that they do. And that's one thing I've always been hard, but I have to try to work on that because I'd like to just go anywhere and act like, like Ellie was doing and walking in the rain with the umbrella over in Florida, or wherever a long while ago, and we saw her just dancing. Those kind of things that would be good to do, and to play out in the rain, or just to play and just be at yourself. Sometimes I find it hard to be myself, except around people I know won't look at me like I'm weird. So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's a great point because my daughter, she's 16. She hates to be embarrassed, and I'm embarrassing apparently. I look at her and I'm embarrassing. So, it was one time I dropped my napkin and I thought it was the funniest thing. I don't know why, but I was laughing and she was mortified. And I finally said to her, "Listen, people are not looking at us. They don't care about us. They don't care that we're sitting here laughing. Or if anything, they're thinking, why can't we be like that?" So, be yourself. Chances are people aren't going to notice anyway. Or they might think, why can't I be like that? Anybody else?
You can be like that when you're comfortable with yourself, and I wasn't always like that. You know, like Catherine's saying, I really wasn't. And Carol and I, although we went food shopping the other day, we didn't do it, but we've been known to break into dance in the food aisle. So, you know, I don't really care. I really don't. And that's when you get really comfortable with who you are. And here's what happens, is I usually get people laughing around me. No, they're laughing at me. Well, some might be, but most of them are laughing with me. You know, so I was also thinking, you know, sometimes you're being authentic even when you're putting on an air, because you are the person who thinks you need to put on an air. So you actually are authentic. We could really get into a conversation like that. It's just interesting. You know, I mean, it's self-worth issues, and that's why, you know, Brene Brown, I think the first time we saw her, it was on a thing with Oprah. You know, Oprah does that Sunday show, and we are not usually up for it, but because I think it's in the morning. But, you know, we DVR it. So that's the first time I've heard of her. I was a little like, and it's semantics, I'm sure, about happiness has to be attached to a circumstance. And I feel like happiness to me is a lifestyle. And you have to choose that, though. Just like when you were talking about how so many of our lifestyles is scarcity. But whether we know it or not, we actually chose that. And we chose that by default because of where you're raised and how you're raised, all right? And then what you're exposed to. So I don't really need to have a reason to be happy. Happy is a lifestyle. I'm not telling you I always sit into that, because I let that other crap, and I really believe happy is our default. Little children are happy. It's when you don't give them what they want, or when the other kid takes this shit away, or they want this, or they're thirsty, or they're tired, all right, and they get cranky. But their default is happy, and I don't really think we're any different than them. I mean, we are, but only because we've been trained to be different than them. You know, and also, like, you know, like, be stuffy and a pain in the ass because, you know, you're grown up. Like, you know, that's why. And, you know, and Carol was saying, you know, we have to be careful. It is true, but that's also because we live in the boonies, so we can't stand a lot of noise. I'm like this. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to deal with people, and then we just go. All right, and then I have that choice of, okay, I'm ready to pull back. And this is like, you know, serene lands up here. So I really like that. And I was, you know, raised in Queens in a noisy area. I really like this. And I can go out there, and then I can just pull back and come back here, you know. And as far as meditation, we were talking about that last night. I mean, I haven't let it go by the wayside, but I mean, there was a time in my life I used to do over an hour of meditation on a daily basis. Okay, and that shifted, and it shifted, and I had to be real enough with me to allow that. And now sometimes it's just a minute and a half, and other times it's 5 or 6 minutes. But just taking that moment, I do always do that. Even if I, you know, I'm just closing my eyes, I'm aware of it. So there's an awareness to that, because that is life changing. So I have to get that book now. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, you did say something, happiness is our default. And when you were talking about that, I thought, you know, you're right. And then you said, children are cranky when they want something. So as adults, if you think about it, our default is happiness. But we walk around this earth wanting something. We want a better job. We want more money. We want more time. We want this. We want that. So we're cranky all the time, just like children. I don't know. Jamie, did you have anything?
Carol, I wanted to say right away when you were saying about meditation and you get into the routine, you get out of the routine. I said it last week. It was the first thing that popped into my head. If it's easy to do, it's not always that easy to do, to build that routine, but it's just as easy not to do, right? It's that, I learned that in that Slight Edge book. It just, every time I think of something that I want to do that I don't do, that would be easy enough to do, I think that. I think, you know, I think I moved here to New Jersey, right, from, I was also in Serene Land with Kimberly, and we moved to be closer to family, and we moved into like cranky central. Okay, we were at a point where we were like, we can do this now. We are good. We have balance. Let's test that shit, because you know what? When you're all in Serene Land all the time, and you could be as happy as a clam. You could be in balance and shakalaka, you're good to go. You go ahead and you go to Crankyville, test that out. That's when you find out whether or not you're good to go or not. I'm still here. We moved in September. Crankyville Central. We went to IKEA when we moved with my mom, who, if you look up the definition of cranky, you'll see a picture of her. So if anybody wants to know what my mom looks like, just go ahead right there. Wikipedia, Wikicrankia, and there's my mom. She just loves, she feeds, that's her habit. She feeds off cranky and negative. It's like fires her up, you know? It's like Italian DNA. You know, my grandma used to say, you have to scream every day, it's good for the soul, you know? So, not mine. But anyway, so we went to IKEA, went shopping, Kimberly, myself, Ryan, and my mom, and we bust out into dancing. I mean, she was like, we were dancing up and down. She was like, what the hell are you doing? And you know what? She was laughing. She's like, people are looking at you. And I was like, good, maybe they'll dance too, you know? And we've done that actually a couple times to her, and I don't think she gets mortified. I think it actually kind of makes her happy. Like, I think we rub off on her like, who gives a shit? Like, we're just having fun. But you know why I do it? I do it for Ryan. Because I was that kid who was bottled up. You know, I was quiet and uptight and afraid, and I don't want him to be that. I want him to be able to go to a party and be like, this is a fun song, and just go out on the dance floor and dance, where I would be so afraid. I would just sit there watching, thinking, like, seeing myself there, but not actually doing it, right? So I want him to know, don't worry about it, just go ahead and do it, you know? So I have to make myself that example for him. You know, I have that constant reflection, like that mirror coming back at me all the time, that I have to make sure I'm on point. I gotta be my best. I gotta be my best. I gotta be my best. I gotta be better than me, you know, for him. So, and you know what? Sometimes it's hard, but sometimes it's fun. Like when you make your mom want to crawl into into those little rooms in IKEA and close the shower door. You know, this tiny little room. Anyway, yes, work does not work without play. What is that? What did I say? Pop in here, Michelle, and talk to me. All work, no play makes Michelle a cranky girl. Is that what the saying is?
Well, your mom must have replaced my photo in cranky. Because 2 years ago, my kids would have said, look under bitch, and that's where she's at.
Oh, she did. Oh, she did. Yeah, I find really, sometimes I just work and work and work and work and worry, and all I do is worry about work, and I become less and less productive the more I work, and the less I ignore being able to just go downstairs and play with Ryan and just have fun, you know? And yeah, I'm an example for him, he's an example for me. Thank God I had children, and that's it. Now you can take this thing over. I don't want to talk too much because I could go. Well, I mean, we could go. You want me to pull this through the end, or what do you want me to do? Go ahead. Everybody, I hope you should get up and dance right now. Here, live on Google.
I'm not getting up, but I'll dance.
Okay, go. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Okay, so You know, I know what you're talking about. Oh, Carol, go Carol. um, I know what you mean because, you know, Mark lost his job a couple years ago, and yeah, he found another one about well, maybe a year ago now. And we're still playing catch up. So I'm typing all the time, and I'm running this business when I'm not typing. So I went out to walk the dog. I've been crappy for a week, and I went out to walk the dog yesterday, and somebody was coming in from the pool to get something. And I was like, you know, man, I wish I can go to the pool, you know. And then part of me was like, why can't you? I mean, yeah, you know, life is not work, 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 work. So I got to make sure I put more playtime in.
More pool time and more bunko,
I
right?
Bunko's only once a month, though.
More bunko. Go for it. You better start up the second group, Michelle.
I know, right?
And you know, I just want to say, I'm thinking about that story about my mom and that dancing and how she was like, oh, I heard her on the phone. She told everybody that you know, she has like a nightly call circuit, you know? Like, Marie, oh, it's 8 o'clock, Marie's calling. My father's like, oh, I just want to get through the show, you know? And she's on the phone with Marie or whatever. And anyway, so she was telling everybody, you want to know, I'm at the IKEA with Jamie and Kimberly, and they start dancing. Everybody's looking at them, and she's hysterical, and they can hear the person on the other line hysterical. So look at that. I didn't just affect the people there at IKEA in Elizabeth, Newark, New Jersey. You can imagine how that is. But look, all the way through her whole call circuit, you know?
That's so funny. She's got a call circuit. I can see that, too. So anybody else got anything to say? Well, we're all on a team together, Team Bold, and that's the page that you're on. And so if you want to learn more about our team or you want to be on our fabulous team or just want to learn more about what we do, there's a green button down there that says Show Me, I think. And so click on that and check it out. Otherwise, we are here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So set your clock and be here with us, all right? And
Come dance with us.
yeah, come dance with us. I can't believe I did that. Okay, so we will see you next week. Don't forget, be here. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.